right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Fire Station Building Committee meeting of Wednesday, September 25th, 2024, to order here at the Lakeville Police Station. LakeCAM is recording. Is there anybody else here recording the meeting? Seeing none. If we can please just stand, pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Here comes the chief now.
How's everybody doing? I missed you at the last meeting. I'd like to thank Nate for stepping up and doing such a
Took some teeth pulling, but he stepped up.
superb job.
Is he still denying being the co?
Yeah,
Yeah, he tried.
The vice chair?
Hi Chief, how are you?
Good, how are you?
We're just getting started.
Excellent, thank you.
I knew there was a reason I was missing that meeting.
Okay, let's get down to business here. So a project update from Pomeroy. Taylor, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, sure. So the crux of everything lately has been heading towards our estimate that is due at the end of this week. It was, squeezed to begin with the extra time spent getting the design in order, but so we should have everything Friday, and then I'll work to finalize the budget. We're hoping everything comes in with where the budget has, we've been trying to be before, where we're looking at, a total in the range of, 20 million for the entire project. So obviously, if anything comes in that's substantially greater, and we have to call a meeting or we need time to go through it, we'll do so. But we're pretty confident things will come in around there, and then I can finish up our budget, get it over to Bob for the warrant article. So yeah, that's been really the push. Secotio did have to bump up the time that they were doing the estimate to make sure we hit the date of the 30th. So it'll probably be about a 70 to 75% DD estimate. We were hopeful that it would be a full DD estimate, but we just don't have time. So because we had to push everything up. Still fine. There'll just be a few added contingencies in there. So as long as we feel comfortable with it and we're ready to recommend it, then we don't see any issues. So we'll give everybody an update once we get one from Secotio. So along with that, after our meeting, Secotio did end up getting some boards and some material for the FD to use in some marketing events that they had. And we met last week with the Chief's working group. There were some questions that firefighters had, Chief had, so we spent some time with Secotio ourselves, answered a lot of those questions, got some good feedback. There's some things we're working on. Even though the plans are design development, there will be some things shifting around based on operations and things that, the fire department may want to see or change. We haven't picked colors yet or finishes or anything like that. So there was a lot of conversation about how that process is done. So we did our best to kind of outline that and let the firefighters know that you will have input into those sort of things as we, as the design moves along. That really takes place towards the end of design development, and then moving into construction documents. A lot of those fine tuning points are made. So I think it was a really good positive meeting. There was some things that came out of there that Secotio is kind of working on and tweaking, looking at some updated plans, nothing major. Floor plans pretty much staying the same. There are a couple little shifts going on, but I wouldn't say, Chief, anything disastrous. It's really just, like I said, operationally changes that they wanted to see. So
dialing it in, really.
Yeah. So I think that was a really positive meeting. Along with that, we have Spencer here tonight to give an update on the ANRAD and the site plan. That's taken on its own complete project itself too, and I think we're moving in the right direction. Everything's been submitted to Concom for the October 8th meeting for the ANRAD. So I'll let Spencer jump in and talk about that if you want to do so.
Yeah, good evening everyone. So where we stand with the ANRAD, like Taylor said, we are submitted for the October 8th meeting. The intention was to be in for the October 8th meeting to give us what would be 3 meetings before the vote, I believe in mid-November, to have this thing passed and through and know where we stand with the stream. And so we've submitted all that documentation that we've presented to you folks, and we'll be interested in attending that first meeting and discussing it with the Concom. From there, we hope coming out of the first meeting to have the third-party reviewer on board. There's no active agent in the town of Lakeville right now, so they will most likely be handing it over to Brandon Faniff, I believe, is their third-party reviewer. So he'll get a hold of that. We have a professional relationship with Brandon, so if we have any questions, we'll probably reach out to him. And then, in the same vein, we would like to, once the first meeting is done, schedule a visit with Concom, get everybody out there, take a look at things, hopefully on a dry day, so that, they can see, what we're trying to argue. Whether it's a wet day or dry day, it doesn't really matter. We have a weight of evidence ahead of us on our side for the intermittent stream. I've done a few calculations today. One of the arguments that can be made by the DEP or the Concom is that potential domestic wells, which exist at 314, and then elsewhere on site at the Ted Williams campsite, the well drawdown could potentially impact the dry nature of intermittent stream. So we did some drawdown analysis today on the domestic wells. The DEP keeps a log of all the wells in the area. We did a drawdown analysis and didn't see any impact from local wells, either domestic or irrigation or whatever may be on site or on abutting properties. So we feel very comfortable that argument can't very effectively be made, that was drying out the stream. And we do have the argument in front of us to say that, even with the stormwater from the road making its way into the opposite side of the stream, that still hasn't really presented a material impact on the intermittent nature of the stream. So we received the signature for the abutter as well, so we will be classifying the stream on the other side of the road to totally eliminate any sort of perennial stream riverfront area that we may be in. So we're going for the total reduction of the perennial classification, and we believe that we'll be successful in that. We have a 3-meeting buffer to sort of get that done, and we think we'll be successful on that front. So I don't think there will be anything that progresses on the ANRAD front from this point on. It'll mostly be the advertisement going out. I do expect quite a few folks to be there because this is a very large property we're dealing with, and so all the abutters to this property will be notified. And given the nature of this being a very central site to the town, very important site to the town, everybody's got kids playing soccer here and everything like that, I would expect a lot of people to show up that day. So it would be good to, it's going to be good for us to be prepared, and there will be a lot of needing to rein things in to just the natural resources. Like I said, this ANRAD process is predicated on the fact that we are just submitting for the natural resources. We're not entertaining the idea of the proposed developments. We're not entertaining the idea of what we're trying to do on site. We're just trying to look at the natural resources, make sure they're correct, and lock them in perpetuity for the 2-year period that the ANRAD is valid for. So no discussion of the fire station or any proposed developments should be had during the ANRAD process, and we'll be making sure that that is the case. A lot of times when you get, aside from the subject property, the subject project that we're dealing with, you'll get these big housing developments, and you'll be doing an ANRAD for it, and all the townspeople will come in and they'll say, oh, well, I don't want a housing development to go into my backyard and all this stuff. And it's like, we're not here to talk about a housing development. We're here to talk about the wetlands on site, the stream on site, and stuff of that nature. And so we're, in the same vein, we'll be making the argument, like, we're not talking about a fire station here. We're talking about just the natural resources. So
yeah, that's very important.
Yes, it's very important.
And if the fire station never even went forward, this betters development for the town down the line. If you were to use, try to develop something anywhere along that stream,
yep.
You want to call it a stream, but that culvert. So in the end, it's a good thing for the town, regardless of the project goes forward or not.
Absolutely, and even for the abutters. It's a benefit to them as well, because you're getting a free classification of the stream out behind your house, and now you don't have to deal with riverfront area if you want to put an addition on your house or whatever that is. But that's sort of beside the point. So Moving on from the ANRAD stuff, I basically developed what I'm calling 60% design set for the pricing. Well, it was a pricing set essentially to get it out, to put it in front of the estimators and have them be able to put a number on things. So I did advance the design quite a bit. So there are a lot of new features, I would say. So I'll just go over each plan one by one as they come up here.
We can get plans out to everybody too after this meeting. We'll send them around.
Yes, yeah. So just in general, erosion control plan, really standard. There's going to be a sizable clearing limit. Obviously, we knew that going into this site. It's all trees. So we're sort of marking out some of the trees that were identified, and then some of the trees that weren't. This tree line is more of a canopy line and less so an actual tree line. So it doesn't really represent how many trees are actually going to get removed here, but it is going to be a fairly sizable amount. So that was in front of the estimation team. They're aware of that tree line, that clearing limit now. We've identified some of the areas that Concom is going to want to see when we finally go in front of them with an NOI. Your refueling areas, concrete washout, all this stuff, construction entrance. These are more construction process
Protocol.
Protocol essentially. Yeah, I'm trying to find the words for it, but this is going to be during construction. Not a lot of what you see is going to be sort of permanent. This is just a temporary sort of erosion control plan. So nothing too crazy going on here. So we'll move over to the general plan. This is just sort of a snapshot. Pretty much, if once the site's developed and you want to look at an aerial, this is what you'd see. There's quite a few site features that the specific design subcommittee we've got to talk about, and we've already talked about a lot of these features that got to go in, got to get removed. So I sort of threw everything that I could think of from previous fire stations that I've done onto the site. Said, if it's gonna be on the site, then we'll get it priced, and if it's not gonna be there, then we'll be able to take it off, and the price will be even more conservative. But the site design or the site construction in general is not usually a large portion of the entire contract itself. So a lot of these items are neither here nor there. They kind of get lost out in the wash there. But your classic things like your dumpster pads, generator pads, transformers, all these things that are going to pop up, I kind of just put them on there where I thought they would be viable to be placed. They're not locked into that location, but I just wanted to have them on the plan. So nothing's really changed on the site routing front. You have this sort of segregated area where the public can access from the front of the fire station there. You have your access out back for both employees and fire apparatus around back. And then you have your large approach apron and approach area for fire apparatus out front. So nothing's really changed on that front. Just a little bit of the building layout has changed and eased things up. This area has sort of moved this way. I moved a lot of this, sort of shifted it page leftward, to open this area up for my own use with the septic and the drainage. So not too much has changed really here. I just added a bunch of features that'll sort of get ironed out as design development goes on. So that's why we're at 60%. We are doing a traffic signal plan. Don't ask me questions about it. I'm not a traffic engineer and I didn't do this. So there will be traffic signals. They are designed per state regulations. Currently, they can be shifted. The locations are at least somewhat malleable, but we have this plan on here. It's getting priced in. It can be subject to change and subject to being moved around and all that stuff, but this is sort of to just get it on paper so that the estimators can see it and know what's going into it, because you'd be surprised what these light signals can cost.
Yeah, and that's the decision that the committee can make. We wanted to make sure it was priced just in the event that the question comes up. So sometimes the fire department don't want it because it causes more issues. So it's really it's a discussion we need to have, but we wanted to make sure we had pricing for it.
Yeah. So it's if it is truly an optional feature, which we may have to discuss with MassDOT
Yeah.
the optionality of everything as well, because who knows if they require one, we'll have to go through that process to see what they want.
Yeah, so when it comes to traffic lights, they have to meet a certain criteria that meets the means of having one. So just because you have cars speeding down your street, you can't go to MassDOT and say, I need to put up a light here. They'll actually do a study, and if it doesn't meet the criteria of that study, they actually won't put one in. It's for safety reasons. So we have to go down that path to even see if it warrants one. That's, again, something that we needed to dig into a little bit more, but it may or may not. And then if even if it may, sometimes it's optional. So.
Yeah, MassDOT you can work things out with MassDOT on that front for sure. So that may be something that gets ironed out well into design development and permitting stages. But it is on the paper. And so the big haul that has been my life for the last 2 weeks is this grading and drainage plan. So a lot of the things that I centered my grading philosophy for the site around was being able to place a fire station in a effective place where the approach upward from the street was not too great. The amount of cutting and filling was not too extreme to raise costs, and the site sort of flows in an effective manner for drainage. So I sort of had a balancing act between the somewhat elevated nature of this area right here versus the grade of the road. As you can see, this is elevation 88, 87, 86. And then up here, we're looking at elevation, I believe, 93. So 6 feet and 100 feet was quite a bit. So the decision was made to sort of drop the grade of this area down and sort of cut away the grade back so that we could actually drain away from the fire station, be able to approach it at a safe slope, and sort of get everything to jive as we wanted it. So what it is now is 5% up from the road, and then this is a 30-foot concrete approach apron, pretty standard for every fire station design I've ever done. This is a 30-foot concrete approach apron, and this is all sloped at 2%, 30 feet out from the fire station. So one of the balancing acts that we always have to think about is, this 55, 57 feet. What was the number I was given for the ladder truck?
Oh God. I think it was 45 from bumper to bumper, around that 45, 46.
Yeah, 50 is in my mind, but I think I just rounded.
I think we rounded up to 50 just to have a safe buffer.
Yeah. So what I sort of did was I looked at, what is the front of that apparatus to the wheelbase, because I'm trying to think about the tilt of the fire truck pulling into the bay, and the front of it being elevated. So it came out to about, thinking about like, okay, 30 feet is that wheelbase to the front of the apparatus. So that was sort of the thinking on the 30-foot mark. And then 5% is sort of the absolute max that I would prefer on, approaching these bays from the street. This area over here kind of gets a little tight just because the road's going down as you go plan north up the page. So it gets a little tight when you're coming in around here. This may be more of a 5.5 to 6%, but this is less going to be driven, and especially not driven by fire apparatus, because this is a really tight turn. So I would more picture vehicles pulling in and swinging around, making the large turn that they need. So with this being tight, the only vehicles that can make this sort of tight turn are passenger vehicles, which are going to be sort of parked over here anyway. So we get a little steep over in this area, but I've made things about as tight as I could, because the trade-off is if I need more grade or elevation to work with, I have to peel the fire station away from the road, and that's not something we want. So I feel like I've really balanced it to the maximum extent that I could, bringing the fire station as close to the road while still having a safe pitch up from the road, to meet the functionality of the site. One of the things we're also looking at, and this will come out sort of in fine grading, is I believe the ambulances are coming out of these two southernmost bays as well. And so there will be some amount of ability to access this walkway here to the front of the building with an ambulance. And so I don't know if that has an emergency value to it or not, but
It does.
that'll come out in fine grading for sure to be able to make that work. And if it has to be flush, then we will make it flush. So That's just one thing that I haven't really, one of those many things that's why it's 60% design and not 100. So those things will get fleshed out in the full bid set, the full permit set, all of these things.
Can you help me understand the grade? So
Yeah.
I kind of think in terms of rate of rise. So like, is it a foot of rise every 10 feet, or is it half a foot every 10 feet at the percent that you identified in that steep area?
5% would be 1 in 20.
1 in 20. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then 1 in 50 is the approach apron.
Okay.
Yep. And then, and that's pretty standard. All the parking lots are either 1 in 100 or 2 in 100, which is pretty standard for parking lots. Anything less than 1% is you're going to get irregular pavement and cracking and heaving and stuff that you don't really want. So, that's the general philosophy around all that. And then, landscaped areas 3 to 1 is typically what we try to keep to. Anything more than that needs sort of slope stabilization and is a little bit harder to maintain. So in general, if I can more or less describe the grading, you've got this sort of, you're right at natural grade as you're in this sort of parking area, or you're a foot below it. This is just to have it pitch down and pitch to our catch basins so that we can drain the site effectively. So this is more or less 0 to 2 feet of cut right here. And then you're looking at 1 foot to 1.5 feet to 3 feet of cut, sort of in the general fire station area. And then it's hard to see, but there's a drainage ditch sort of along the road that we're going to need to fill in order to actually be able to grade everything effectively, because we don't want this massive dip in the center here. So one of the trade-offs that comes with that is I'm positive the DOT is going to come back to me and say, hey, you filled in our ditch. Where's our stormwater going to go? So we're putting a 12-inch pipe underneath, a 12-inch RCP underneath the sort of approach pavement area. And that's just to transfer the stormwater coming from the DOT right away, because it makes it right onto the road. The DOT doesn't have really any right to the site to force us to do that, but as part of the permitting process, they will want to see that happen. So we're providing that. It makes sense from a drainage standpoint. Otherwise, sort of all the drainage here and all the drainage till about that point at the police station sort of makes its way across the front of the site, and maybe you get 6 inches of flow in a heavy storm in front of the fire station. We don't really want that, so we want to convey that water away anyway. It's got a material benefit to us as the project team. So we have just a little sort of depression and a head wall, and then your 12-inch RCP, and then back into the drainage ditch. So it's we believe that Mass DOT will look favorably upon that and won't really have much to say about it, given that they only control what's in the right of way. So with that being said, drainage in the front was a little tough to deal with, because I couldn't effectively concentrate the water on site, given the bare minimum amount of sloping and elevation that I was able to deal with. So in front of the site will be a somewhat sizable trench drain. I think it's about 140 feet long, but I can't, there's not many other ways to concentrate the water other than accepting it in a trench drain capacity. So from that point on, it travels up the trench drain into a drainage manhole and back down, and we have an underground infiltration system right here underneath this parking lot. And from there, we've this drainage system, along with any other stormwater system on site, has been designed for the 100-year storm. Part of what goes into designing the catchment systems is understanding sort of the cover types, what you're going from and turning into. And so right now it's a bunch of trees that soak up a bunch of stormwater, and it's a bunch of nice sandy soils that infiltrate stormwater really well. And then you're taking that and you're turning it into pavement, which runs off just about every bit of stormwater that falls on it. So you can see there's a huge deficit that gets built in terms of the stormwater that flows off the site before development and then after development. So this is going to create a huge requirement for our infiltration systems. And so we designed it to capture the 100-year storm, which is the requirement of the Massachusetts Stormwater Handbook. This is the maximum size that we hope they will get. This fully infiltrates everything behind the site and the building runoff, and this infiltrates everything sort of in front of the site and some of this drainage kind of around here. So we've fully captured everything on site. We've fully infiltrated everything on site. As design development goes on, we may be able to reduce the size of it and let out just a little bit of water over time, and basically size down the system. That'll have a nice cost benefit, but not very noticeable in the grand sum of everything, but there is a bit of value engineering left there to do. So these are pretty oversized. I'm not going to call them oversized, adequately sized, very adequately sized right now. So with that being said, everything sort of gets captured in front with the trench drains. Everything sort of gets captured in this catch basin or free flows into this depression, gets infiltrated and then sent out to the drainage ditch or this 12-inch pipe that's going underneath. So it's got a twofold benefit for drainage on site. I feel really good about it. I'm starting to work through some of the rims and inverts right now, and it seems like everything's sort of working out. So from there, the drainage, like I said, you sort of have this very nice, easy slope, pretty flat around here, 1 to 2%. Gets captured by catch basins, sort of all around, and then this pretty large underground infiltration system takes everything, sends it to a flared end section. This will be a nice swale, grass swale, crushed stone, riprap, whatever is desired to properly maintain the site. We'll go through that sort of design development discussion, but it'll swale right into the natural resource area pretty effectively, pretty easy. Nothing too extreme in terms of velocity, nothing too extreme in terms of erosive elements and the shear force that will strip grass away and strip soil material away. So with that being said, wastewater septic system, like I said earlier, sort of a nice little pocket right here to place the septic field. Does it fit in there? I sort of have to go through that task, but so this area might get adjusted ever so slightly, but for now, I feel pretty confident that it can fit right in here. Because of where I'm sort of putting things, we'll definitely need to run another test pit schedule at some point. I do believe the soils will yield something pretty nice. We didn't like the soils that we kind of found over here, but we did have a test pit that was sort of conducted generally in this area, which is kind of close to these systems that I'm designing. So we do believe that the sandy soils will prevail sort of in these areas. So that is one little sort of contingency that is sort of hanging in the balance right now, but I do believe will work out favorably in the end once we do that test pit schedule. So that is wastewater. In terms of water coming from the road, I'm not showing it on this plan quite yet, but I assume it'll just be a 2-inch domestic and a 6-inch fire water service. I believe there's water in Bedford Street. Do we know that for a fact?
It stops over there, right?
Yeah, it stops over here.
Okay, so we'll have to carry it.
Yeah.
Could we carry it?
So it's a 12-inch, and I'd like to recommend that we carry it past the apron of the firehouse and get a
Okay.
fire hydrant on and stop it past the station so
Okay.
that we can flush that properly.
I wish we carried it past
I know.
when we did the police. We brought it up as the police station project and
Yeah.
dead ended it right
I
there.
wouldn't
Okay.
want it to stop
I wouldn't want
prior to the apron, because
Okay.
if we ever do expand that, we're ripping up the apron and all of the 12-inch that you just talked about.
Yeah.
And, trench drains and infrastructure.
Gotcha. So we will need to get on that as soon as possible, just so that the estimators know. Because I didn't show anything here needing sort of discussion on it. So
I think we can carry an allowance for it.
yeah, I was gonna
Just be
say
safe,
a
yeah.
water line not hard to carry an allowance for, but that would be good to at least convey to the estimators, because it's not displayed on this plan yet. So yeah, that's something.
We do have water behind us just for situational awareness. There's water that goes into the Ted Williams camp as well. So
Okay.
I don't know how it all would play out, but I assume that main would be more for a better option.
Okay, so carry the main down the road. We'll have to. I mean, I think I have the police station septic plans, so I'll at least know where the water is.
I have the water line plans. So we did it.
Perfect.
We actually did it as 2 separate projects. We put in the water line first,
Yeah.
and then we did the station.
Okay.
That might be an option here too, to just get, put it out to bid early, get the water line in, and then come in. So yeah, I have all those plans. I
Okay,
can send it
perfect.
over.
Yeah. So let's. I don't know how to, if we have to go through Secotio to talk to the estimators about that, or just have them carry an allowance. But that would be one thing that I think, obviously Friday they want to have the final number done. So
Yeah. So before, when I talked to Mark, it was carried before, kind of in our contingency. We assumed that
Okay.
that was in there. It just wasn't spelled out. So
Gotcha.
um,
All right. Yeah. As long as it gets priced in.
Yeah.
It's not. There's nothing on site as an individual item that is ever like that big of a cost against the final number of the contract, but as a sum total, they add up So just being able to capture everything is good. Electrical, I know there's electrical coming in sort of underneath or next to the roadway here. Where it is, how it works, what it does. I'm not an electrical engineer. It's hard for me to assume. Obviously, I assumed a transformer location and the scope that would be needed for a transformer, but what in terms of the electrical scope is needed for the site is not something I can necessarily control. So that's not captured in these plans, and that would be more captured by an electrical engineer. So
Okay.
I would hope to make sure that that's captured in the bid as well, because it's not captured on these plans. And I think in terms of gas, is there any need for it, or is everything electrical?
No gas.
No gas and no need for it. Okay. Yeah. So I think that covers utilities. I can't think of anything else. I mean, there would be telecommunications and stuff like that, but that's pretty easy to carry from the road, I would believe.
So just as an FYI though, the town, I'm gonna be careful as I explain this, but there is fiber at the parks that we have to be cognizant that this will likely impact. It may need to be moved, so you're gonna have to.
Yeah, the fiber runs literally next to the water line that we put in. They run like parallel to each other.
Oh, okay.
We were able to run next to it, not have any issues, but we didn't have to cross the entrance at Ted Williams. But we coordinated that fine last time, so I don't expect any issues, so we can help through that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Some of those utilities, I mean, that's not necessarily civil scope stuff. The electrical engineers really like to hold those cards tight to their chest. So, in terms of a grading and drainage plan and utility plan, that's pretty much what I got, and that's probably the most intricate stuff that I've done. The meat and potatoes is more or less figured out for the site, and now it's just refining it and value engineering a lot of the excess away. So
Hold on, Hunter, I just have a quick question. I mean, I think timing right now is I wish it were better, because, ARPA money that we still had available, for infrastructure, had to be in by September 30th, ground ready, which really stinks, because I've been watching that line, because that probably would have helped absorb some of that cost. But the second thing that I just had a logistical question, because this is on, Route 18 and it's Mass DOT. Who's responsible for the drainage and the basin maintenance? Is it Mass DOT?
So that'll be us.
It's
Yes.
us. Okay. So this will put a little extra burden on our highway as well.
Yes. I mean, they were always going to need to help out with the catch basins and whether it be DPW, I'm not sure who maintains the site, but there was always going to need to be an amount of maintenance that went on site. And it's pretty simple to deal with. These catch basins and drainage manholes are all pretty close to each other and out of the way of fire apparatus if they need to, they're out of the way of the fire apparatus, and these catch basins right here can be, sort of accessed out of the way of things.
I think Lorraine was talking about like the RCP on, Bedford Street and things like that too.
And that'll have a trash rack in front of it, and this flared end section hopefully never receives any flow. So, because these basins are designed to not receive any outflow in the 100-year storm. They're emergency overflows only. So, the only thing that would need to be maintained is the trash rack that would be in front of this head wall. So it would just be a little cage that catches trash and debris and dirt and stuff like that. And, the other end of it, with the velocity of the water coming out of it, it would, just hopefully be fine. But that would also need to be maintained as well. But then, so that's it. But, if this ditch ever came under, heavy loads right now and received, a fallen log or something like that blocked flows or impeded flows, it would still need to be maintained anyway. We're just more concentrating flows in the form of a pipe at this point. But in terms of additional maintenance, it should not be that heavy of a burden because, everything's sort of all right there. And we're utilizing it twofold for the structures on our site and the flows that the site received from the MassDOT right away.
Maureen, you bring up excellent point there, and it made me think of snow removal. So like when we talk about additional responsibilities of our DPW and staff in general. What does the snow removal look like on this? I'm just looking at a large area in the front with nowhere to put the snow, except the northerly side of the property.
I was gonna say, yeah, this is gonna be where you want a lot of your snow to go, really, because this is going to be a nice swale, and it's going to melt and drain things away. You'll be able to run the plow right up through here, at least out back, and in the same vein, sort of around here, and pile snow more or less in this area.
Because that is one piece, conservation will be looking at when we go for a notice of intent.
Yeah.
They're not going to want snow removal in the front in the 100-foot buffer area.
Yeah, certainly. So this is the 100-foot buffer as it stands right now. So if you were to pile snow sort of in this general area, you'd be well outside of it, and it would be a swale, so there would be some amount of pollutant removal that you'd be able to benefit
So the whole
from.
apron area would push north into that area, and then what about the parking area for the?
The parking area here?
No,
Front one.
Oh, the front one here? That's a great question. You could definitely pile it, bring the plow in through here, in scrapes, and pile it in front of the RCP.
without impacting sight lines.
Without impacting sightlines, I don't believe you're going to have too much sightline implication there, because all of this is going to be wide open, and this is also, the invert here is at 85.9, and the grade here at up here where you're driving out is at, I think this is an 88 contour, 87, so you're 2-3 feet above where the base of the snow pile would be. So, if that pile were built up 4, 5, 6 feet, you're still going to be able to look over it, especially if you're driving in a fire truck. But even in an ambulance, you're going to be above, your ground level by 3, 4, 5 feet. So I do think you'll be able to see over any kind of snow pile that develops there, for sure.
So for site plan review, it's probably a good idea to submit a snow removal plan.
Yeah, that's something I would absolutely include on the general
Yeah,
plan and
okay.
have not yet. So yeah, definitely a good point to bring up. And I would assume a lot of this snow gets carried, sort of this way. I've got some capacity to grade this out and make it better, but you're seeing this 100-foot buffer zone. Like you said, Concom's not going to be too thrilled about something like that. So, we'll have to just identify this area, call it out, and provide whatever additional protections Concom may request for something like that. But that would be the current plan now. And obviously, all this parking area, just over the UGIS is totally fine.
The plan's as good as your plow drivers.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Yeah, really. One thing that brings up a good point, because I spend a lot of time thinking about curbing on fire stations sometimes. A request I've seen in the past is a request for sloped vertical granite curb, because sometimes with straight edge vertical granite curbs you can pop a tire or something.
Yep.
So I've proposed sloped vertical granite curb going all around where the fire apparatus can route.
Yes, please.
And the rest.
Yes, they're not good drivers like the DPW.
I like to hear that. I spend a lot of time thinking about that. So the rest of it's Cape Cod berm, which is super cheap, super nice. Whenever folks ask me to do value engineering right before we go out to bid, that's the first item that gets tossed is, oh, we want a vertical granite curb for the whole site. Oh, we want the site to be cheaper. And so, the granite curb is the first thing to go. So I went ahead, proposed Cape Cod berm everywhere. If we want it to be concrete, if we want it to be granite, whatever we want, I can change it. But right now, if it's not where a fire apparatus can get to it, it's Cape Cod berm. And so, that has implications with plowing. If the DPW or highway department does not like that, we can change it. But that would be my operating assumption right now. We can go through that as the design subcommittee to talk about what might be most effective for the site. So with that being said, I think that's really all the utility discussion and drainage discussion that's sort of needed at this time. A lot of things are getting fleshed out, but the general theory of the drainage on site has been solved. Everything, because of the amount of infiltration we're doing, we get a ton of treatment, which we'll be able to claim. And I do think that this will be looked upon favorably by Concom because of the massive stormwater improvement that we're able to make. And this is just a junk plan that, this is what a septic design plan would look like if it was done. I have not touched this at all, so we'll skip right by it. This is just standard details. None of this is really that important. If you want to see a good profile of what the underground infiltration system is going to look like, then you'd just go to the last page and you'd see it here. So this is sort of the classic underground infiltration chamber setup. You get a bunch of inspection ports. It's a bunch of plastic chambers under the ground. It's not very complicated. So that is, and they're all H20 load rated. So if something were to drive on them, you can do that. Not a big deal. You can put a trailer on them. It's not a big deal. So that is the design. That's what I've got for an update.
You own site lighting, or is that electrical?
That is electrical,
Okay.
but it's got to be coordinated. I've had a lot of light poles get designed over pipes and stuff like that. So.
So I have a quick question for the chief. Is as far as your callback personnel, does the current parking schematic lend itself to like callback firefighters' efficiency? Where are they going to park, and how quickly are they going to be able to get the apparatus for their second run piece of apparatus?
The only thing I really was concerned about is, and I want to spell out, I don't want any traffic running into each other. So I'd kind of discourage or prohibit use of the front ramp as ingress. If I call firefighters, I don't think this is a problem. I don't see a problem with the configuration at all. If we have like a meeting going on in the training area, we can accommodate that contingency by having them use the rear ramp, where other people wouldn't be allowed to park. That's kind of, but on a normal day, like on a Tuesday morning when that lot will be mostly empty, then I would want them to use the regular spots.
I think the design teams are doing a good job of, anytime things change or get massaged, they're sending a set to the chief to look at before, so he's not seeing it here for the first time. So we're doing a lot of that.
I don't know if this is too far in the weeds, but how hard is it to change the speed limit on the road out in front here? How involved would that project be?
It's just a
Very involved.
couple of beers and
So
I've never done that. So
here's my frame of mind.
I change the sign.
I worked in a fire station for 20 plus years, 22 years or so. I had a traffic light, and I'm probably a couple dozen crashes in front of me as the lights get activated. People don't see them, some people do, and we ended up being delayed responding to a scene because now we're turning into a car accident that just occurred in front of us. And so there's a lot of disadvantages and advantages to a light. There's less noise produced when you have a light in front of you. You don't have to, warn people that you're coming onto the street. So there's a lot of gives and takes, and one of the things that I kind of thought of is if the speed limit was reduced, it would lessen the need for a traffic light and all the crashes that'll come with it.
So it wouldn't take a whole, so we gotta file with MassDOT anyway, so it's a very good question to just ask them when they file. Say, look, we're doing this and we have some concerns.
Yeah.
Is it anything that you'd entertain? If not, then.
Be an inexpensive as well.
a lot less.
And you're right next to the police station. You just have somebody sitting out here with the speed gun.
Yeah,
all times.
It'd make it safer for them too.
New source of revenue.
There we
Gotta
go.
pay for the fire station somehow. That's something we could entertain with MassDOT for sure. That's a conversation that can be had. Doesn't it change sort of up here anyway? Isn't
Yeah,
it 30 mile an hour?
A little bit down the road.
Yeah,
Sort
sort
of. We
of.
at 45 here, or 40.
I think it's 50.
I think it's
50.
I think
50,
yeah.
I drive like an older person, so I'm doing 40.
I mean, even if it's transitional, even if it's like, hey, we want it to be 40, and then when it turns to 30, near the graveyard or wherever it does, it's like, it's at least a step down, and as you're driving here, you're stepping down. So.
Nobody steps down those.
No, nobody's
Yeah.
nobody's gonna. Yeah, well, out in front of the police station, maybe you can get away with that, but I can't speak for MassDOT what they would be.
In my head, some decent signage and reduced speed limit would be a nice alternative to a traffic light.
Yep.
Yeah, we just put in a traffic signal. They don't call them lights anymore when they're actually out in front of stations. It's a signal. But we just did one in Stoughton, and all in it was about $300,000.
For one signal system.
Yep.
Yeah, the lights are really expensive.
$300K.
Yep.
Yeah. And we had
And that was the low bidder.
I had one of those in my bedroom when I was a kid. Well, I know.
There's all this pre-activation stuff it coordinates when the truck's pulling out, the light goes on, so there is a lot of, mechanics behind it, but.
And maintenance, when they break.
Maintenance,
Yeah.
a lot. I actually have a question. We talked about septic, you talked about drain, runoff for stormwater.
Mhm.
What about, gray water, black, whatever you wanna call it, gray water for washing the apparatus?
Yeah.
Washing the bay floors, it's gotta go somewhere and hopefully not in the septic, cause you're gonna fill that up in a week.
Correct. Yeah, so what we've classically done in the past, and it's not captured here, and that'd be another thing that we would want to bring up with the estimator. You usually put a tight tank, and I would.
That's it, that's in the set, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not captured on the plans yet.
It's on the
like-
plumbing drawings.
Yeah, the plumber usually carries something like that. In the past, I've seen that. So we would put that somewhere on site. I would not really care too much where it went, as long as it was sort of out of the way. So there are a lot of options in terms of where we could put it, especially with groundwater being so low and buoyancy not being too much of a thing to think about. So yeah, we would be able to figure out a spot for a tight tank to go to be able to be pumped out and not be in the way of fire apparatus. As of now, the only maintenance items that would be in the way of an emergency vehicle traversing the site would sort of be these catch basins, which, yeah, they're somewhat in the way, but they're catch basins. You throw the cover back on them if you're maintaining them, and fire apparatus could escape very easily. And then these trench drains come out in 10-foot sections. So if somebody were maintaining the trench drains, you'd only have, as the length of a vehicle taking up the trench drain at a time. So that is the biggest point of maintenance that would sort of be in the way. But I am at a loss for any other option to capture the drainage other than a trench drain. I can't concentrate flows well enough to route it into a catch basin. So.
Yeah, we have one out here, I believe. Anyway, yeah, it was part of this because of that height difference. So.
Yeah. So that's sort of where we stand with that. But I mean, they come out in 10-foot sections. They lock in. They don't move. It's going to be a rugged trench drain. So, I don't see too many issues coming out of that bit of drainage infrastructure.
So yeah, underneath every single truck will be a trench drain on the interior of the building, and then that all goes to a tight tank.
Yeah.
You can, the tight tank can go right under it can be actually under asphalt, right? You can put it right under the parking lot.
Yeah, it can be anywhere.
It just needs a cover to
Yeah.
drop it like a septic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nate, how was what was the impact cost wise? I don't know what a fire pump costs, but we're sitting in a building served by a fire pump just because of the hydraulics. So I'm going to make the assumption that we're going to require a fire pump for this building as well.
Most likely will be a fire pump on this building.
So is that
I don't think it's that bad.
all right, cool.
Yeah, I think the plumbing will pick it up, right? Yeah, the MEPs.
Yeah, I'm just, are you're not thinking you'll have enough flow?
Well, if we didn't have enough flow for the calc here,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that we won't have it next door because it'll be the same water supply.
Yeah, that's true.
One thing I hadn't considered, along with the water line, would there be a need for a hydrant somewhere near the site?
Yeah, I would like
Or do you
yard
want a
hydrant.
training hydrant?
Yeah, I was gonna say another training hydrant as well.
At least one in the backyard and possibly one towards the front, just past the property, to prevent like what Nate was referencing, the need to dig up the front ramp.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't want to, I think there's benefits to not being the dead end as far as sediment and everything else.
Yep.
Yeah, so with my septic sort of being in this area, I wonder if it's the most advantageous for the water line, at least the fire water line, would it share, or would it have to be its own line for the training hydrant?
No, the training hydrant would be a regular fire hydrant, and
It can be in line with the fire.
yeah.
Okay, so we
Fire line.
bring the 6-inch fire water up, we stub it off for the building, and then we keep bringing it to the edge of the access drive for Ted Williams. Is that?
So in the grand scheme of things, we'd have some kind of a training prop someday, somewhere in that rear ramp, and part of the training evolutions would require us having a fire hydrant there that flows, decent amount of water.
Yeah.
And what happens frequently is because 80% of our town doesn't have fire protection water. What happens very frequently today is that our trucks come back to the station empty, and then they hook into the hydrants, and refill.
Oh, okay.
So that's primarily what it'll be used for.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I thought it was kind of saying.
Yeah, you can draw right on the
Yeah,
plan.
I'm
so-
not gonna draw, but I think they were saying, take the water line past the police station, bring it up here.
Yeah.
Dead end, well, not dead end it, but put a hydrant at the end of this.
Yep.
Oh.
And then also bring the water line in here to wherever it needs to go into the fire pump room.
Yeah.
And then in that line, the fire pump, before you get to the fire pump room, put a hydrant.
Don't you need one?
You would in the
What's
back
in
of
the
the
back?
building.
Or you need one in the back.
Train in the back.
The back of the one would be more advantageous for us. It would be more valuable than the one.
So
in the
could you
front.
run it
fire
off
pump?
that line, you put
Yeah,
the
you could
hydrant
come
off
in-
the side of the
Where's
property?
the fire pump from?
But can you go through that 100-foot buffer?
I don't know where the sprinkler room's
I-
gonna be.
Because the mechanical rooms are here.
It's better to come up the access drive for the training hydrant, in my opinion, just because they're gonna probably end up tearing up a lot of this asphalt anyway and repaving. And, you know, this is all buffer zone area that Concom's gonna ask me why
Yeah.
I decided to do that.
All right, so we'll have to look into that a little bit.
Yeah, that's something we can workshop for sure.
Yeah, the closest hydrant that way is right at the corner of the loom pond lodge. So there is, just throwing it out there to
Yeah, I think
help you
that's-
engineer it.
That's a lot further, I believe.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, I mean, let's discuss it. once we
Yeah,
go
yeah,
through
the
all
water
this
line
stuff.
stops like right in the middle of this station.
Yep.
Out front, so it's not that, really not that far. And we pulled it all the way up from the, Precinct Street, so.
Okay. Yeah, we can game plan that. Any other questions with the site design?
No, thank you.
Very thorough, Spencer, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Open it all up. Yeah, thank you guys very much. Okay, with regards to the project schedule,
No changes, I mean, we're on schedule to, like I said, get the town what they need for the warrant.
mhm,
And then it's planning and marketing for town meeting.
right. So I did make the announcement at the select board meeting that, you have your your fire prevention week and Saturday. October 5th. So we wanna make sure that we get something out on social media too,
Saturday the 5th.
yes. From,
When was the
10
budget coming up, Friday?
yes.
We're getting the estimate back, yeah.
Okay.
Friday.
You know, to include, information about the fire station building project as well. I think would be good. One of the things I had been thinking, I had my, as a select board member, we hold an hour coffee, with the senior center. I'm wondering if it might be a good idea to, you know, maybe meet with the seniors.
On Fridays, the Friday coffee.
Yeah, we'd have to coordinate with, the director about maybe coming in and talking to the seniors a little bit more about the project.
I'd be happy to attend, that's for sure.
Yeah, if you wanna let us know when that is, we could make ourselves available.
Yeah, typically it's, you know, like kind of, I think it's 10 o'clock, 10 to 11
Mhm.
on Friday, but we just have to coordinate with the,
Okay.
senior, council on aging director.
Yeah, I was curious, I didn't know if the town wants to do any sort of like open forum, where you pick a date and invite everybody into, you know, the town, the high school and, you know, answer questions, do a presentation, or if it's more kind of like ground level stuff, you know, flyers, mailers, you know, social media. We've done it all. It's, you know, really, we can do whatever you'd like,
Maybe
or assist with whatever you'd
The
like.
more the better, man.
Right, maybe, I'm thinking maybe at the library, in the meeting room, you know, as a walk-in, you know, where people maybe on a Saturday, you know, could stop in. I know we've done our master plan, workshops in there. You know, there's been other, you know, projects that have had, you know, just more informational session where, you know, people could stop in and
Mhm.
just, you know, kind of talk about it too.
Or if Jose wants to help out with, you know, if there's I don't know if there's any local shows in town that can do like an interview of the project team and the chief, and, we answer questions. That was very popular in Stoughton. And then it just played, over and over on public television, but, I think that's really helpful, because then you can take that video, it plays on public, and then it, put it on Facebook and kind of gets circulated, and you can actually tell, the facts about the project, because the biggest thing is the misinformation that people hear and put out. So trying to get the facts out there is the biggest hurdle.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anything like that in town, or a group, or if we can workshop that.
LakeCAM has done a presentation for us in the past. They did a virtual tour of the fire station, the existing fire station. I think it's probably worth showing again. It's not much has changed since it played.
Mm-hmm.
And if I think Josie's pretty, he gets kind of enthusiastic about these projects where he can kind of show his skills off a little bit.
Now, the video that you had done
Mm-hmm.
with the chief, I wonder, is that something that, LakeCAM might be,
Yeah.
maybe they could air that?
Was that with Molly?
Yeah.
Yeah, with Molly. Mm.
The other thing, in late October, we're planning an awards night. It's typically like an internal thing, where we can make it a little bit more of an external thing and have a component to what our outlook is and what our plans are.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
What day in October is that?
we haven't set a
Okay.
date yet, so.
You firefighter awards?
Yeah, we usually do it in August, but I pushed it back to be closer to the election for this purpose.
Might not be a bad thing to do it as a, actual event.
Yeah, we do.
The town members come, maybe, at the lodge or something, make it a little bit more of a formal event.
It's too early, not too late.
I mean, it should be anyhow, recognizing their achievements.
We throw in our dress blues and recognize, significant calls, years of service, things like that.
Best
Yeah,
Chief
it's-
Award.
We usually do it over.
This guy.
Yeah.
Who voted for him? This guy.
Because in the past, we've done it right at the senior center.
Yeah, we did.
In the evening, and,
You've gone to them in the
yeah.
past. But they're usually smaller scale, but we can ramp it up and market it as a public event.
That could be pretty cool, because it's a little bit different. It'll bring people in as kind of a happy, fun atmosphere.
Yeah.
And then you can help present the project.
One of the best events that we had was we reunited two CPR saves with the crews that saved them, and it was just gold. It was gold for everybody. It was such a feel good moment.
Yeah.
So, if I can, I gotta start scratching my head and see who we saved and who we can connect with. Maybe we can pull that off as well.
I'm assuming you had saves this year, right?
Yeah.
If not, we'll have to see what we can do.
Nobody I care for. Though.
We'll see what we can do. We don't have somebody, we'll drill it. We'll find somebody. I have a question back on the budget.
Yeah.
Tuesday the 12th.
Yes.
November.
Yeah.
No, Madam Chair, back on the budget, when the budget's finished, is it, can finish everything with fixtures, kitchen appliances, tables, chairs, every desk, all that stuff is all gonna be in there?
Yes.
Cause I just didn't wanna say, here's your $20 million project and now we have to furnish it.
Yeah.
Or geez, we need a cooktop now.
Yeah, all the soft
I
costs.
don't wanna see Nate at Lowe's with a credit card, it's
Yeah.
just not gonna work out well.
All the soft costs are built into there. Built
Okay.
into it. That's the total budget.
Okay.
Yeah, total project costs. Hand it over, walk away, everything you need.
Okay. Turnkey, so to
Yes,
speak.
and that was, that was estimated. I mean, the project cost could come back and it could be 23 or 22. I haven't seen that final estimate since we've really started to massage this thing. So, I wish I had those costs now, but it could come back higher, it could go back lower. So when I get those, I'll circulate it with Bob and Lorraine, and if we need to make a decision to to cut or to get to a number or to move forward, then we'll have that conversation. But that $20 million budget was based on the square footage that we're still working with. But things have been cut, things have been added. There's been a massage since when we last looked at it in May.
In May 16th.
So it's been evolving over that time.
Because I think in the trip we took to Brewster, I think was really, well, for me, very, very informative because I got to see a little bit more than I usually get to see going in for work, which is the apparatus floor and maybe an office. But I got to see the whole place, and it was really, and the only thing I could say I didn't like about that entire building was their kitchen setup. I thought it was really it was underwhelming, more importantly because it wasn't commercial grade. I mean, it was kind of, a lower.
He was trying to avoid a suppression system.
Yeah, he was trying to avoid, and I get what he was trying to do, but if you're going to do it right. So you're not. I mean, you can get a commercial grade cooktop or a Gen Air that you can replace the Gen Air every 5 years, or you can get a commercial grade and not deal with it for the life of the unit.
That was one of the things.
It was the only
actually-
down thing I could say. Only the bad thing I'd say about that fire station.
Yeah, that was actually one of the things we talked about is in the working group was that all the appliances will be commercial grade
Good.
in the project.
One of the things that struck me from visiting, I think I've gone about 4 or 5 different new constructions, is the soft costs, what actually is a soft cost under the different projects. When you go to Brewster, all their gym equipment and everything else was captured within that project. They have a great fitness center. All the furniture, everything got captured within their
In
soft costs.
soft costs.
And then when you go to Maynard and some of the other buildings there, and it was very piecemeal because you could tell they were scraping by with their budget. And you could definitely see a facility that hadn't budgeted their soft costs properly. So it was pretty interesting just to watch it and kind of take it in.
Yeah, it's tough sometimes especially when you're building to a number.
Yeah.
Those towns that all we have is, $5 million. What can you build us? It gets extremely difficult, and you start peeling back. Okay, what don't you need? We can build you a gym, but we can't give you furniture or workout equipment, that sort of thing. So it's
Chief wants a squat rack.
yeah.
That was my back.
I might have to add gym equipment to this because I don't think I have it in the soft costs. I have furniture, but no gym equipment.
Okay, I just want to run down real quick. I just made some notes about gearing up toward town meeting. LakeCAM possibly getting Molly's video.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that
Yeah.
you can coordinate?
And then, I mean, we can ask Jose too, when we send that over is, can you help us put together some sort of video? And I can give some ideas of what we've done in the past, but usually a Q&A, I think, works really well.
I know,
Nate
The
said
Lake-
he'll MC it, so
he would do a fantastic job.
he would.
The Lakeville Arts and Music Festival is also this weekend, so there's a lot of traffic, and about from other people from, coming from afar too. So there's just going to be a lot of activity this weekend.
The brewery's got a kind of an open house, I think, like a open house, like external.
Is he finally done?
Not yet.
Is
Close.
that over next to the town hall?
Yeah, it's a terrible location for us.
There's the chief, next door.
So I have here senior center hours. So you and I, we can coordinate with.
Yeah,
with
we have a
School
presence, so
director.
we go over and do some community medicine stuff,
Yeah.
some screening anyway, so we might as well take advantage of our time
Right,
there.
and maybe with the visuals that you were
Mm-hmm.
just mentioning earlier, if we can get those into the chief's hands and then he can.
I have them, yep.
You have them,
Oh,
right?
you do have them?
Yep.
Okay, good. Well, then, forget I asked.
We tried to get them to him a few weeks ago, actually.
Yeah, prior to the Lions Club event.
And then the fire department award night. What did you call, you gave it a name?
Yeah, recognition night.
Recognition.
Yeah.
Where's that usually, Chief?
We've had it at the Seaway in the past, but we can, I can see if there's anything larger available if we think we need it.
Yeah, because usually it fills up at the
Yeah,
senior center, for
families.
families and everything, so, maybe we can look at that, I can work with you on that too. And then, having an info session, maybe on a Saturday from, maybe 10 to 12, in the library meeting room.
Yeah, that's pretty typical.
We could set up in there and just
Sometimes we
be
get
available for,
100 people, sometimes we get one.
right.
When you do those, you never know. So we can certainly make ourselves available for something like that.
And then we
Would
can.
you, Lorraine, would you have that meeting as close to the actual town meeting as possible, like, so that would be the 8th, is that right?
The,
Excuse me, the 9th, November 9th?
you mean the library meeting room? Is that when?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, cause if you have it too soon,
Yeah, nobody
You
will
could
show
lose
up, right?
it,
Don't,
right.
they don't even know what they're voting for.
right,
You know?
and too late. Well, the Saturday before, in my opinion, is the best, that's probably the best time, if you could choose.
Is it November 9th?
The 9th would be the Saturday before.
Yeah.
What date's town meeting? 12th, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's not a bad idea to target the 9th.
Okay. See what we can,
Not to hit a sensitive subject, is the plan still to have our votes, the fall town meeting and then the regular election in April?
that is something that, I'll put on the agenda for the select board to decide. You know, holding a special election, you know, in my mind, I'm thinking because of this type of project, you know, having it as, you know, having it independent, you know, focus, versus having a, you know, with the town election, I don't want it to get lost in the weeds, so to speak. Not that it would, but it could. So I'm gonna bring that up to the select board, but I'll let the committee know, what we can do on. So I'll coordinate with the, town administrator.
I would defer to people more politically savvy than myself to tell me what's more advantageous, but I'd be interested to hear everybody's thoughts on when we should have it.
Is there any other big items on the warrant or planning to be on the warrant for November 12th? No.
There's
Nothing major.
20, right now, there's 20 items, but,
A lot of procedural stuff though, right?
yeah. But I think you were talking more about the election
Yep, yeah.
post, you know,
the
if it
actual
does pass
ballot.
on, you know, town meeting, then we have to go to a ballot, so,
Yeah.
you know, whether holding the ballot in April or if we have a special ballot election.
Can I ask you a question?
Sooner.
Yeah.
Let's say it passes it's gonna pass on the 12th. When's the earliest you could have an election right after that?
35 days.
30, that's a good answer. Okay, so why don't you have it 35 days after if possible?
Well, that poses a question because elections aren't cheap.
10,000.
It's 10,000. And I'm speaking as
I
a
know.
person that's looking at the numbers. You gotta convince the town that a $20 million project is good for the town. And we're gonna throw another 10 grand to have a special election when you have an election coming in April. I think it's bad optics to me, but that's just speaking as a taxpayer, that's what I'm thinking. And a finance guy, that's what I think is, what, another 10 grand to vote for this?
But what will be lost and what could possibly rise in 6 months of waiting till April to finalize this? If you say, hey, at the rate things increase, we could go up 50,000 in the build cost. Because you only have, or
That's
it
a
could
good
go up
point.
100,000, you know, if something
Rate of
happens.
increase.
That's why I'm looking over you. What's the inflation?
Depending on how
of the project?
materials end up, that's not but that's that's how you'd have to sell it.
you know,
5 to 7% a year.
Yeah, so you're
So
talking
6
another
months,
year.
It could be 3.5%, 4%.
Yeah,
Which is
so
significant.
that is a way to sell it, but that's how you'd have to sell it.
Yeah.
You can't just say we want to rush
I
this
mean, I
along
won't
because-
bring up the exact specifics of what we had a specific town election for. That was the same amount of money we had an election for
I
something.
remember it.
And this is a much more important for the town
Agreed.
than that was.
Agreed.
So,
I don't want to see that election either, but
Yeah,
Exactly.
from our point of view, or, you know, I guess recommendation, we'd wanna see it as quick as possible. Because then it gets the designers moving as quick as possible, it gets us out on the street as quick as possible, not only to contend with escalation, but, what we're seeing is a slowdown of larger projects, right now, so, the larger projects on the street, there's actually less of them. So contractors are starting to get hungry again, we're seeing some prices, some, competitive pricing on stuff. So I think getting it out on the street rather than waiting, you know, till April is, you know, critical.
Because everybody's already in motion, getting their projects in play anyways. And, you know, they're planning ahead.
Yeah.
You know, which is kind of probably just what you just said, but in different terms.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to, you know, if you were gonna wait to April, you know, tell the architect, you know, keep designing, and they can design over those 6 months, but, you know, then if it gets shot down, then you don't have a project, but that's kind of a gamble.
You do have to think of the holidays, 30 days at the beginning of Christmas.
Well, 35 days would be December 16th.
Yeah, that's,
You have to do it after the first, beginning of January.
Yeah, even if you waited till after the new year and did
Right.
it, but I think waiting all winter is a mistake.
That it won't be on anyone's mind that you'll have to redo all this.
For each.
Let's say this, well, I won't say let's say, when this passes on Tuesday, on the 12th,
I love it.
you have a date right then and there. You say, please, folks, remember, this is good. Now our vote is going to be January 7th or January 6th. You have the date already, and then we make that date happen. How the selectmen make that date happen afterwards, because like you have 100 and something people there, and they'll be like, all right, yeah, I can remember that. If you say, oh, don't forget next April, swing back by, they're gonna be like, April. I don't know where I'll be in April.
Beautiful outside,
Right.
yeah.
To Pete's point, a lot of people come up to me and they're like, want to know when it's going to start because they've already voted for it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And they think they've already approved this.
Right.
You know?
So we'll write that narrative too, when we put together the presentation information is, you know, what's been voted on so far, you know, you've approved, you know, hiring the OPM and the architect, you've approved getting it through design development, we have an estimate, and now you're voting for completing the design and putting it out to bid and doing the construction.
Because you did that nice little time frame that we
Yeah, I'll-
included
yeah,
in
like
town
that.
meeting.
I get a lot of positive feedback on that.
Yeah, I'll take that
Spoke to
and
that.
extend it, yeah, we'll tell the story.
So I'm thinking, Mr. Noon's getting this, on an agenda well, we have October 7th, we have a select board meeting. And the next one after that,
21st.
21st, so we could put it on the 21st.
But
So,
I can remember that.
I'm on that.
You didn't even flinch, you just started.
I'm on that agenda for something else. That's why I don't.
7, 7, 7, it's not too difficult.
Everything I've said good about you. Bob.
it's like, you would get mad if we dropped the.
7 plus 14
That
is
was kind of
21.
nice.
That was,
I was
That
doing
was-
fast in my
That was really
my
good.
recall. You know.
Like that one. Yeah, so if
All right.
you could mark your calendars too for the 21st, it would be nice to have you there to help, speak to the benefits of, having it scheduled, and then we can, come up with a proposed date and talk to the town clerk to see what we can do for January.
And not I'll put my 2 cents worth in, and I know Christmas, everybody, but Christmas is, I don't know. I don't want to use Christmas as an excuse to not put this on before the end of the year. So you could do December 17th.
Yeah, what's wrong with this? If you're gonna push it, let's go 35 days.
Exactly.
Let's freshen
We'd
everyone's
have to
mind.
check with the clerk too.
100%, yeah.
Right.
If it
Check
works,
with the clerk.
just keep on rolling. Don't take the foot off the gas, because then January, the snowiest winter of all time is going to hit. You name it, and there'll be an excuse. So if you do the 17th or 18th, which is a Tuesday and a Wednesday, I think just
Christmas could come early.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Never know.
He's not- Hey, listen, he already convinced me to change my mind about spending the 10 Gs, so you might, if you're gonna spend it now.
Yeah.
Spend it in December and get this done.
I spent ARPA money
in
for
2023 money or
Yeah.
2024 money.
2024 money.
Right.
No,
Exactly.
no,
for the shot.
it was worth a shot. It's a good shot. Okay. Okay, so I'll work on, see what we can do about that, library meeting room. We'll do it closer. You had said the 9th. Try to get that scheduled, November 9th.
Right.
That all sounds positive. I think that's a good plan.
Okay, everybody good?
Yep.
Yep.
And if you come up with any other, ideas when you wake up in the morning, you're sitting there having your coffee and you're just having an epiphany, send it along. Please. Okay, so next we have a change order. Taylor, if you can go through it and explain that.
Yeah, want me to?
Yes, please, 'cause
My-
I was having a little difficulty tying it back myself, but.
All right, so let me explain this. In the committees should already be aware of these only, but, already. What we did was, at one point, we talked about, what the design development only monies was. This is what we voted on, or the town voted for and approved to move forward into design development. What that was our fee and the designer's fee. That's what town meeting approved. This group, I guess, never actually, formally approved those changes. So we've been working against something, but we can't bill on it because we don't have, an approved change for it. But it's already in the budget. It's already monies that was approved. It just hasn't been formally approved and signed.
We were definitely aware of it.
Yes.
I researched, some of the meetings, and you had sent it out to the group like the day before a meeting, and we just thought we needed more time. You brought it up. I know it was discussed. This is just.
Yeah, at one
Certainly
point,
not.
we all saw this design,
Correct.
design development draft only, so it had our fee in here and it had Secoshio's fee in here, so this matches exactly what we were asking for in our change order one, for money for design development. And then same with Secoshio's, they put together a proposal for design development. Theirs matches what was approved for design development monies only as well, so.
So are you looking for a payment of 93,000?
No.
Okay.
Goodness.
So it's-
But I guess.
are you increasing what are you increasing, the budget?
So
The,
our new contract price, so our current contract price for the first phase, was $46,150.
yeah,
The design development, money, was 47. I have an extra thousand in there. Was $47,740 for design development. So our new contract price is the $93,890.
is that included in what town meeting appropriated
Yes.
last meeting?
Yes.
At town meeting? Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
All right.
But I don't necessarily know that it's a change order.
It's
Right.
it's a change order to our contract, but it's not a change.
Right,
It's a change order to your soft costs.
right,
Technically.
because, we were under contract for phase one, and now
Correct.
that we had, phase two approved at town meeting, now you are set to go
This is,
into that piece
yeah,
of it,
the
so,
additional monies that we, asked for about last July was our phase two
right,
scope money.
right, we just
So this-
never,
We've never added that to his contract, his contract
Right.
was just for that first
Correct.
piece.
Right.
That's all it is, just
Right.
adding that phase two to our contract.
so, because of where you had said change order, that obviously goes to the, to the select board, if it's anything over, I think we voted, 10,000 or?
It was 10,000.
So this is not an invoice and it does not increase the appropriation voted at town meeting?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, so I would entertain a motion, to approve the, phase two, change in, contract for, Pomeroy Associates in the amount of $47,740 for the total new, contract price of $93,890,
So moved.
Second.
Just for Pomeroy?
just for
Yeah.
Pomeroy.
And then the Secoshio portion
Yes.
of it too.
We have to finish.
Oh,
this
sorry.
one first.
I'm sorry.
Discussion,
The only discussion I would have is we approving this and we're recommending that the town administrator or select board, whoever is authorized to sign this contract amendment, goes ahead and does that. We can't sign this.
Right.
We're just making a recommendation.
Yeah.
Right.
Just for clarification.
Yeah.
yes.
So it's for recommendation.
Okay, so we'll add recommendation to the motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll please. Can we start with you?
Hoffman, aye.
Darling, aye.
Conroy, aye.
Noon's eye?
McCullough, aye.
Cost and I.
O'Brien, aye.
Carboni, aye. Okay, and on to Secoshio.
And then Secoshio's proposal was for, $529,750. for design development documents. This
It's only
was,
a contract, again, no invoice, the town meeting, it's when the town meeting appropriated.
correct, it matches what the town meeting appropriated, so, these are just the proposals. We haven't billed against ours, they haven't billed against theirs yet. This will allow us to start billing for work completed.
What was the number that was approved at town meeting?
Six fifty something.
650?
655.
Okay. So we still haven't exceeded it, so.
Thank you for being such a diligent, finance committee member. I appreciate
Motion to
it.
approve.
Chris is gonna call me as soon as I leave.
Motion to approve, recommendation.
Motion to approve.
Yeah.
Recommendation.
Recommendation. for-
Second.
All right, motion in a second, because I know who's gonna take our minutes, is probably gonna be like calling and saying, great, what just happened? Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, roll please.
Simon, aye.
Darling, aye.
Conroy, aye.
Noon's eye.
McCullough, aye.
Costa and I.
O'Brien, aye.
And Carboni, aye.
Good, thanks for the clarification, Caroline.
Yeah, sorry about, I
Yeah, I
thought,
was a little confused.
we went to go put the billing together and I was scrambling. I was like, where are these signed contracts? I could have sworn these were approved.
I'll get you the copy
So,
myself.
thank you.
Okay, and then, we have an invoice here, from LEC. So I'll entertain a motion, for approval for LEC invoice number, oh, Nate, you do it, go. always
You
do
are
it.
on a roll.
Invoice number 151785 in the amount of $416.25.
Motion approved.
Second.
A motion made by Mr. Noon, seconded by, Chief O'Brien. Roll, please.
Simon, aye.
Darling, aye.
Conroy, aye.
Noon's eye.
McCullough, aye.
Costa and I.
O'Brien, aye.
Carboni, aye. In front of us, we have an invoice from Farmer Associates, invoice number LFSP-008 in the amount of $15,800. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Darling, seconded by Mr. Conroy. Any discussion?
Is the funding for this invoice in that second part of the contract?
Yes.
So I would guess we would have to, we could approve it, or be pending action of the Board of Selectmen to approve the change order first, though.
Yeah.
You can do that?
Well, I don't know if they need to change on it.
No, it's not changed, the
Is it
change order, but
amendment?
right now it's not funded, right?
It's not funded
No,
yet,
it's
because it
funded.
hasn't, well, it hasn't been approved by the select board. It's phase 2, right? Or is this from phase 1?
This is phase 2.
There's,
So
it's $4,000 of phase 1 work, and then the remaining 12,000 is phase 2 work.
So technically, you can recommend to be paid.
No,
until-
no, the
until
select
you're-
board doesn't approve the invoices.
But they have to approve the contract to approve that invoice. This invoice is part of that contract they have to approve,
They
correct?
approve the appropriation.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just, we
Alright,
said a
so-
We'll figure
recommendation.
it out,
so-
we'll figure it out.
Yeah. So, we'll make it
Okay.
per, the approval of the, select board. So. Per approval of the select board for the, contracts for phase 2.
Yes.
Make it a little bit more clear.
Yes.
Okay, any discussion other than that? Roll please.
Simon, aye.
Darling, aye.
Conroy, aye.
Noon's eye.
McCullough, aye.
Costa and I.
O'Brien, aye.
Carboni, aye. And this is,
One more invoice.
yes, another invoice here. And this is for, how much? Taylor,
That's a
just-
breakdown.
This is the breakdown.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
break, that's a
Okay.
backup to that.
All
You
right.
might be missing the page, Ryan. There's a Secoshio one.
Yeah, it's the Secoshio, this is the Secoshio one.
Oh, yeah, I skipped over that one because we didn't call on it. It's just one for,
Okay, I didn't have that one here.
50,
but- okay.
invoice amount of 59,000. That's
Yes.
400.
Yeah. So that eats up the rest of their phase 1 fee. They haven't billed anything against phase 2 at this point.
What was the threshold on select board?
What's that?
Oh, never mind. I was confused.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion in a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll please.
Simon, aye.
Darling, aye.
Conroy, aye.
Noon's eye.
McCullough, aye.
Costa and I.
O'Brien, aye.
And Carboni, aye.
Just for the record, we didn't read off the invoice number, but I don't think it matters.
Well, just Nate didn't do it.
Yeah, just for the record, I'll read it in, just to get in the minutes. It's invoice number 23083-7 dated 9/3/24 in the amount of $59,400 to Secoshio Associates Architects.
Thank you. All right, any old business coming before us? New business? Our next meeting will be when?
2 weeks. Is it 2 weeks?
Well, Mike, what's the date? 2 weeks from today?
14, quick, do it.
I can't do it, I'm too much
14
pressure.
days from the 25th.
It's the 9th,
30 days in September.
so it'll be, November 9th.
November 9th?
October 9th.
October 9th.
October, don't put me in
Look at
November.
that, my goodness. It's gonna be a busy, week, we got select board and,
It's already in our,
Concom and-
yeah, it's already on the.
yep.
Yes.
Sorry, on the calendar.
Motion adjourned.
Yep. I have a motion to adjourn at 7:55 PM. Here, a second. Quick roll, please.
Simon, aye.
Darling, aye.
All right, aye.
Moon's eye.
Color eye.
Costa, aye.
O'Brien, aye.
Carboni, aye.
I was
Thank
wondering
you,
what happened.
everybody.